Good morning. That was cray-cray. Sorry, I was just speaking to Tim, the postman. You all know Tim the postman. Well, you don't know him, but you know of him. And of course, I haven't seen him in a while, so we were just catching up. And he was giving me his therapy for mental health. Nicola S., how are you? How are you, my darling? Miss One Trisha, Ellery Jones, Jennifer Cando, Elijah, Claire Ross Reed, Dawn Boyvin, Jenny Matthews, Helen Flynn, Bobby Ward, Julianne, Fiona Reed, Sophie Yates, Judith Weir, Gabrielle, Margaret O'Brien, Ashley Lewis, Leggy Blonde Jen, Erin Bullimore, Denise, Nelson Gale, Deborah Holdsworth, Sarah Perlmutter, James McBeer, Christina, Olivia, Emma Carter, RM's Jams, Jennifer Cando, I've said you already, Louise Vanstone, Alison Fisher, Tim Reed, Sarah Beaton, Diane Lloyd, Angela Thompson, Mayboo, Marion Patel, A&E, Sharon Smallwood, Nicola Higgins, Georgina Demetrio, Christina C, So Unique, Sharon Elston, Louise N, Della. Loads of cards went out. They should be landing on your little mats today, family guests. Helen Groves, hi, Tracy Gates. Hello, everyone. How are we all? If I cough, it's because I had a coughing fit this morning. And you know when you get a little bit of a scratch, you think, I can't get rid of that. So it's a bit annoying. It's a little bit annoying. How is everyone? It's, yeah, that was odd, actually. The reason it was odd, just talking to Tim for a moment, my postman, because we haven't seen each other, he asked me, have you been all right? And you've got one of two choices there, haven't you, when people ask you if you've been all right? You can sort of lie and just go, yeah, I have actually, that's right. And then you sort of think, what's the point of being in the world? What's the point of being in the world if we're just going to lie to people? So I said, actually, no, I've been diagnosed with bipolar. And then we had a long chat about strategies for coping with mental health. I like that. That's me and my postman, Tim. I like Tim. Sarah Beaton took a day's holiday today and it's really windy outside. I know it's a bit of a miserable day, but I have to confess, I love a miserable day because it makes me feel like I've got more chance of not feeling miserable. It's as simple as that. I don't care what Nad says. You come here for Nad's sunshiny, sunny disposition, and you come here for my dark and twisted, downbeat sense of gloomy humour. Pauline Mulvey, so sweet. Nice postman. He is a nice postman, Nicholas. He's really nice. Michelle, everyone needs a Tim in their life. They do, Michelle. They do. Remember that Tim Reed? Everyone needs a Tim in their life. Everyone needs you, mate. You're right, Michelle. So unique. I always say I'm okay when people say, how are you? What do you say? When people, it's a good question to start off on. When you meet, I always remember my nan, Nanny Thelma, saying, oh, she used to work in a corner shop. And she used to say, oh, do you get that feeling when you say to someone, how are you? And they actually tell you. But of course, she was a different generation. What do you guys say? Reese Roberts, tell us now and we'll talk about them. Very productive conversation. Shows how if you let yourself be vulnerable, you can often be precisely, you can be pleasantly surprised by someone's reaction to your vulnerability. I thought I'd test it. I know a lot of people here, because you know us so close up, a lot of you kind of weren't surprised by the diagnosis. And to be brutally honest, neither were our girls, neither was Nadia. And I think neither was I on one level, but having it confirmed is always a bit different, isn't it? Morning, Donna Pearson, hope you're well. It depends who asks and the situation, says Faith Goodman. That's a good point. Some people can ask you, how are you doing? And they ask it in a way where they clearly aren't interested. Do you know what I mean? It's like you go to work and you go and your boss goes, how are you? And you go, I'm all right. I know you don't really want to know. I feel like shit. I hate you. You're an asshole. I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be here. The project you're giving me stinks. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to say all that, are you? You get fired. I'm just, Teresa A, I just say I'm great, thanks, but inside I'll be screaming if only you knew. I sometimes, all these kind of, the vogue for having a day that celebrates this, but there are a lot of them very meaningful ways of publicising important, causes. Mental Health Awareness Week, etc. A lot of them. I think we should have a day where people, when asked, we should call it the How Are You Day. Well, this is not a bad idea. We should call it the How Are You Day, where everyone has to say, what you do to be part of it is you genuinely tell people how you are. Rather than saying, Ellery Jones, I'm fine, thanks, how are you? Jodie O'Rourke, it depends on who's asking most of the time. If I say not too bad, but it never really the truth, yeah, I agree. Annie Bluebell, do you agree? I think we all say, I'm good, how are you? It's almost become as routine as hello. I only answer honestly to 3 or 4 close people. I have a disabled son and most don't understand or want to hear. Yeah, I can get that. Sophie J. Matilda, when I'm down and someone asks me how I am, I just joke, e.g. having a meltdown, but other than that, so you kind of, that's interesting, Sophie. So you make light of a real sort of not crisis, but you make light of feeling actually not very good. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like, you know, I tell you one of the phrases I hate. It's something along the lines of, chin up, could be worse. That makes me want to do something really unspeakable to my coffee. I just completely missed my mouth. Look, I just completely missed my mouth. Just before this, the reason I was then late after Tim was I knocked my decaf coffee, I have to stress, I knocked it over, all over the table. Missed my mouth, got a drinking problem. I hate that chin up line. Yeah, chin up. Oh, come on, cheer up, it might never happen. It might never happen. That's annoying. Don't you find that annoying? That's annoying. Chin up, it might never happen. Why the long face? Come on, what other ones annoy you? This is my first decaf coffee. Who believes me? Who believes the strange man in the corner? Do you remember the movie The Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais? No, I don't. I'll check it out. No, I don't remember that. It's almost like a greeting, like, oh look, Pauline Mulvey triggered. Like we say, all right, it's just a hello most of the time. Very British. What I do like in America, and I'm not saying this is the case for all Americans, I know it's a mass generalization, but you know, whenever I've been to New York or LA, if you ask someone how they are, they always tell you. You know, they might say, oh, well, you know, I've had a bit of a problem with it, but it's always kind of coming from a sort of half full perspective, like, you know, going through this. But I tell you what, though, we watched Below Deck last night, and forget the Below Deck thing, because it's just a strange, awful crack addiction that we've got in this house, that we watch this show late at night. But there was they have guests come onto their super yacht and they go off. And there was a woman who came on the yacht, and she was a guest, and she had stage 4 terminal cancer. And it was a really life-affirming episode, actually, because it reminds you that thing that we always say about being grateful and having gratitude and all that kind of stuff. You know, I know that for Nads, today is a dear friend of hers, today is a really crucial day, and I think it does always help to think of the problems that others are going through. But as Danosaurus says, I hate we all have problems. I'm a big fan of believing that you shouldn't say to anyone, just because your problem isn't as severe as, say, someone else. There's always someone who's having got a worse situation than you. So does that mean you don't have a human reaction to what you're going through? No, of course it doesn't. I think it's really important that we're all allowed to snap out of it. That's another good one, Anne Murray. You know, I think we should all be allowed, regardless of how more severe someone else's situation is, to have our own experiences. But we should also have extraordinary compassion for people who have, are going through something much worse, potentially, than us. I hate it could be worse, Sarah Watkins. Yeah, I agree. Yvonne Smith, being menopausal, not sure an honesty day would work for me. I would end up in the back of a police van. That's a good point. That's a very good point. And Yvonne, if you have a partner or any relatives, maybe curtail that thought. Gemma H, or Tired Mummy, I believe that is. When I ask people on dating sites how they are and they reply saying I'm great and then boast about all the things that makes them great, I instantly unmatch them. There you go. Good point. Ashley J, just because someone next to you is in a full body cast doesn't mean your broken arm doesn't hurt. Brilliant visual analogy. Brilliant visual analogy there. Thank you, Ashley. I mean, a very good point. Sarah Jane, I used to know a woman who would say, try being me. Oh my God. You've just triggered me, Sarah Jane. Try being me. One of the things you have to try and avoid as a human, I think, and this is a big part of addiction counselling, is feeling sorry for yourself. There's a famous phrase in AA called poor me. You'll know this, Tim. Poor me, P-O-O-R. I know you're not in AA, but it's, you know, these sayings spread across the fellowships, don't they? Pour me, as in poor me, pour me. And then the last one is pour me a drink, i.e. I'm drinking on feeling sorry for myself. And I think it's one of the most important things we should all strive to get rid of. When I did my defects years ago, my steps, feeling sorry for yourself can be a really unattractive trait. And really, it's all about making other people not necessarily even feel sorry for you, but feel worse about their situation. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you wouldn't want to be me. No, actually, I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? No, I wouldn't. Matt Haig, the author, is pinging out some fabulous mental health quotes, which I keep sharing on my Insta stories. It may never happen. So for Jane, it's already happened. Tim Reed's self-pity is bad. And I think it's something that not a lot, we should maybe do a mental health chat about self-pity or an addiction chat about self-pity. It's a huge, huge problem. Because I think as we get older, there's a danger that because we get older, understandably, we struggle more and we feel a bit sorry for ourselves. And there's a difference, I think, between feeling sorry for ourselves, but genuinely sort of pumping self-pity out into the world all the time. Do you know what I mean? Sarah Palmer, stop being self-involved. That doesn't mean you can't be I'm a big believer in the word selfish, not as in selfishness, but to think of yourself is key. You know, you need to look after yourself. You need to look after your recovery station, as they say. What's my recovery station like? Tra-la-la, my cousin bought my daughter a lovely, hope you will, tra-la-la, mental health book, just lots of little conversation starters to start her off with her feelings. He used it at 45 years of age and it goes across the ages. That's a lovely idea. What's the name of the book, tra-la-la? I think a lot of people might help that. Can't stand woe is me, leggy blonde Jen. Oh, and I can say that because I remember in my drinking years, it was a big thing. You know, woe is me because I can't see Izzy on this day. Woe is me because, and it's not to say that the grievance isn't justified, but there's nothing more unattractive than moaning and groaning about it. Reaching out for help and asking for advice is different. But we all know the difference between woe is me, don't we? I think it's an important thing to talk about. So there we go. Paula, another aging art student. Funny title. I hate that try being me and people that belittle your expression by saying they have it worse. Or, you know, back in my day. Oh, you've got it easy, back in my day. Well, just because you had it bad in your day, if you had this day, now this day, you'd love it. Or you'd have a different problem. Try a little harder, really, Sarah Tace. I agree. Penny Shrimpton, that's what I hate. Oh, I always say there's no monopoly on suffering when people do problem comparison. That's why sadness is part of the human condition to allow catharsis, Reese Roberts. Absolutely right. Andrea Crash, no one actually gives two flying Fs how you are when they ask how you are. You're supposed to ask all about them. It's a me society now. Very strong words, but kernels of truth in there. Sarah Jane, it was especially annoying as this woman's life wasn't any harder than anyone else's. She just seemed to think only she had problems and no one else was allowed to have any. Pauline Mulvey, Mark, I'm irritated. I'm irritated by all the comments that we're not being said, so let's get off this. Okay, so, news of the day. Who's heard of monkeypox? I felt, now the reason I've pulled this story is not for us all to go batshit screaming around the house going, oh my God, I've got monkeypox. Okay? 2 cases of monkeypox virus found in Wales. Now, admittedly, it doesn't look particularly nice when it presents on the hands. They look like little suckers. But this story, I want to get a bit meta. I want to get underneath this. This story is clearly journalists wanting to find that shock and horror story somewhere else. It's very, very rare. 2 cases of monkeypox have been reported in North Wales. Public Health Wales said the people were infected abroad and the 2 patients are from the same household. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Have a chat amongst yourselves. Delivery. I'm presuming it's mint. Oh, delivery for a foodie thing that's happening later. Sophie Jamie Tudor, I ask, how are you twice? Answer for their answer. Oh, sorry, we've moved on from that, have we? So monkeypox, yes, so monkeypox. One patient has been released, confirmed. What annoys me about this story is it's journalists trying to scare the shit out of us all. And I want to return to something that we were talking about right at the beginning of COVID, actually, or quite near the beginning of COVID, where I think Ofcom needs to take a more robust approach to our news gathering. Who agrees? Who agrees that the news stations in this country are hysterical? Now, we all know that everyone is competing for viewers and listeners and all that kind of stuff, but there's also a civic responsibility to not making us all shit ourselves with fear. And it really makes me cross. And when you talk to people in other European countries, you hear people saying, people we know who've got relatives in Europe say, our press just doesn't whip up this frenzy of fear. And I don't know if you remember about 6 months ago, there was a story about in Outer Mongolia, the bubonic plague was picked up with 2 people. Did that story go anywhere? Of course it didn't. Of course it didn't. And so, I thought 2 cases of monkeypox, and of course you click on it, I click on it, you click on it. But I think that there is actually, when you went to the WHO, I've got a lot of criticisms of the WHO, but one of their first top tips for managing your mental health in this crisis was to limit your news flow. So if you were to limit your news flow, but the only news that comes through is monkeypox, bubonic plague, all this kind of stuff. And it's that, and the use of statistics. I was talking to Kiki about this when we were doing maths the other day. This idea that cases have doubled or death. Okay, let's say every death is important, of course. But when they say deaths have doubled and we're at 4, doubled is such an inflammatory word. Whereas 2 to 4 is kind of relative to what we've been through, undramatic. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm missing tralala, a quip. It's really weird not seeing a comment ping up by Xander. I keep thinking it's one big elaborate kind of joke, but no. Oh, Della, I'm pleased your card has arrived. I'm pleased. Lots of cards should be landing today, so I'm really pleased about that. We know there's been a delay on them, but we are up to, I think, the week before last. None went out, none were done last week. Was that someone else at the door? There's a lot of noise going on out there. So that was the reason for monkeypox. Face masks should continue forever to fight other diseases, say sage scientists. Right, I want to ask you guys, I like these yes-nos. Should face masks be used forever? Yes or no? Discuss. Gabrielle, sage can bugger off. No effing way. A couple of people, Deborah Lansbury saying yes, save having to wear makeup. Reese Roberts, yes. Bloody stupid, no. Guess I've not had a cold for over a year and I usually get, I know what you mean, Jennifer. I mean, when I had this little cough earlier, I guess we're all gonna start having normal, annoying coughs and colds again, aren't we? Yes, in some circles. I think I'm of the opinion, yeah, there's a lot of no's. If you want to ruin a party, says Sean Thomas, invite a member of Sage around. They're real party poopers, aren't they? They don't half piss on our parade. Tralala, very good point. No, we need to build up immunity to germs. You're right. I do think there is an urgency to us building natural antibodies to all manner of things out there. We don't want to become more vulnerable. My theory on this is that I think perhaps we need face masks in certain situations. We can't live in a bubble all our lives, and I just wonder whether, I'm trying to think what those situations would be. Whether, is it always on public transport? Maybe. My second vaccine, I think, as I said, my second jab, I had to delay it because we were taking Betty to the hospital a few weeks ago, and I'm now having on June 17th. So I'm looking forward to being fully jabbed. Out of interest, guys, have you seen they're recruiting for the booster immunization, to test the efficacy of a booster jab? Would any of you, do you think the booster jab, what are your theories on whether, what do you think is going to happen in the autumn, guys? What do you think is going to happen in the later, when I say autumn, I use the kind of Gardener's World definition, which is October, November time, September, October, November time. Do you think we're going to have a big ping back, or do you think we're going to have, do you think our antibodies are going to still be in place from the jabs? Do you think our antibodies are going to run out sooner than we think? Yeah, I think we are going to need a booster every year. Third wave easy, Reese. Yeah, no, I know you felt that for a while. I mean, I think you're right. I think we're on the cusp of a third wave now. I mean, the infection numbers or transmission numbers are getting higher. We're all going to end up living like Michael Jackson in an oxygen bubble at this rate. Yeah, there could be that. There could be that, Leggy Blonde. Emma Carter, I think they will do it at the same time as the flu jab. Yeah. I mean, is it straightforward? I mean, I wonder how straightforward this booster jab is. You know, I mean, is it just a case of tweak, boom, done? Or whether there's going to be some sort of road bumps on the way. So in light of all of this, it looks pretty inevitable that Boris is going to delay, doesn't he, by 2 weeks. Do you think he's going to delay by 2 or by 4 weeks? Or, as I've heard on the grapevine, could he be delaying until the end of the summer term? Discuss. Which of those 3 do you think it could be? People have already stopped wearing masks, you're absolutely right. I keep putting them on to go in shops and to go on trains and all that kind of stuff, and every time I go there, there's someone else sitting there looking at me with theirs off. They're still training vaccinators, so expect more. News says 4 weeks. Oh, Stuart, your poppies have been destroyed. They don't last long, do they? Our orange ones have gone over as well. Had my second jab. Yes, well, 2 weeks makes such a... Adela, I agree. I think 2 weeks is such a... We talked about this the other day, isn't it? I think 2 weeks is kind of like neither here nor there. Izzy, Dorban, I think it probably should be delayed, but I feel sorry for the people with weddings. But aren't they going to make an exception for weddings? I think they're going to say delay by 4 weeks, but weddings, you can have as many people as you want. I think. 4 weeks, you think? Yeah, 4 weeks. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. I mean, depending on how the numbers go over the weekend, it could be a summer term. When the summer term ends? Of what? July 16th, July 23rd, around there. So Freedom Day could be a delay. I think it's pretty inevitable. There is going to be a delay. So much for irreversibly. But they have always said they're going to be led by the data, not the dates. And I think it would show some kind of confidence in their rhetoric if they were to say we're following the data. Might be quite nice for them to actually follow the data. But is the data as worrying as they say it is? Of course, the Euro 2020 tonight. Now, is anyone else here a football fan? Yes or no? I'm sure most of you are. I'm trying to fire up my sort of dormant football fan. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur supporter. There's been years of agony, frustration, little flickers of interest recently. But yeah, I'm trying to fire myself up to watch a game or two. Yes. Oh, some of you are. Sue Wood. Yeah. Donna Carkett. Yeah. Maybe the timing could be right to just be... But the problem is, being an England fan is the most frustrating experience. Reese Roberts, I'm a sometime fan. Same here. It's such a frustrating experience, isn't it? I'll sit down. I'll say to myself, oh, just a Nad's sweet. She'll say, come on, Mark, you rarely watch football because we don't like it in this house, you know. And then I'll get fired up and I'll watch it. And then England, after 90 minutes, will be 0-0. And I sit there and I think, what a fucking waste of 90 minutes that was. Sorry for my language. It makes me cross there. You think the amount they're getting paid, they should be scoring goals every 6 bloody seconds. Anyway, so yeah, Euro 2020. Now, I want to get onto the subject of the day. Feet. Feet. Come on, guys. Let's talk about feet. Why does anyone think I might be talking about feet today? Has anyone seen a story in the press today all about feet? I sound like a teacher then, didn't I? Who in the class thinks they know why we're talking about feet today? Now, some people hate feet, like Stuart G. Donna Pearson, your husband's a Spurs fan too. He must be very miserable most of the time. Sam JP said. COVID toes? No, that's not why. I can't stand feet. A lot of people can't stand feet, but then there are some people with, don't say the word, foot fetishes, aren't there, and all that weird shit. Bare feet on the grass, of course. We've talked about that before. Many people said, oh, I can't bare my feet. I've always liked my left foot, but despised my right foot because I have that strange dead toenail. And it was we've talked about it jokingly on the channel. it's always been a subject of great self-doubt and fear, certainly in intimate situations, of what someone would say when they saw my bad toenail. And it still gets to me today. If I had more confidence around my toenail, you never know, me and Nadia could be on the ropes. It pivots around my toenail, really. Does anyone else have an issue with toes? Okay, I'm going to ask a really killer question now, because Nads isn't here. Say yes or no, and you have to be honest. Say yes or no, okay? You have to be honest. Are you ready? You ready for this question? Who here has ever sucked a toe? I've asked it, and Nads isn't here to go, Mark, you'll attract weirdos. Right. Stuart G, Sharon Goods, yes. Definitely not. No. Oh, there's another yes. Who's that? Jill Brooks. Sarah Beaton, yes. No. Ooh, no. Athlete's foot. Ooh, Faith, actually, yes. Sabrina Neal. It's kind of like, did you sit there and go, oh, no, actually, yes, I did, yeah. It's quite funny. Stuart G, I was drunk. Oh, my God. Was it just coming towards you? Actually, yes, I love that, Sabrina Neal. Actually, yes, I have. Yeah, it's a curious one, isn't it? Emma Carter, no. Why on earth? Sharon O'Keefe, yes. Oh, Ashley Lewis, very good point. Yes, my baby's baked bean toes. Oh, they're little prawny toes. Got little prawny toes. No, I'm not including that. Do you remember that story? Who was the story about? The person in the press? Was it David Mellor or was it Fergie? Someone sucked a toe, didn't they? And it was in the press. Ah, Linda Blythe has hit upon inadvertently the reason for this conversation. Bunions. But it was Fergie, wasn't it? Bunions. Has anyone got about... When a bunion... I've seen some proper bunions, and big bunions make your toes look like they're turning right on your leg, don't they? On your foot. Ugh. Reese, no way. I stand firm in the opinion that some parts of the body, although available in intimacy, should be off limits, especially where bacteria lives. I love that phrase, although available in intimacy. I know what you mean. Just because you can go there, you shouldn't go there. I totally agree. I'm not suggesting people have sucked bunions. That's just a step too far. Do you love the way we talk about condiments with Nads, but we're talking about bunions and sucking toes with me? Bunions. Now, as a runner, I have, you get hard bits on the sort of, the edge, what I call the corner next to your little toe. Oh, that gets a bit painful. And then, of course, there's the joint at the base of your big toe. Anyway, well, the reason there's a story about, I'm talking about bunions. I love a bit of history. Does anyone like a bit of history? I love a bit of history. Who's that? Was that? No. Popular pointy-toed shoes led to an increase in bunions in medieval times. Now, archaeologists have studied some skeletons at Cambridge University, 177 skeletons from 4 cemeteries in and around Cambridge. And among those people buried in between the 11th and 13th century, 6% showed evidence of bunions. But amongst those buried between the 14th and 15th century, this rose to 27%. So between sort of 1500 and something and 1600 something, people were walking around in agony. In the 14th and 15th century, from the 1300s through to the 1400s, nearly a quarter of people had bunions, roughly. The rise was about the same time as the rise in poulaines, or pointy-toed shoes. Pointy-toed shoes were increasingly popular. I've just got visions and the vast majority among these fashion, and I think I'm right in thinking, a lot of these people were men. Do you know what a bunion is? I love archaeology. A bunion is a bony bump that forms on the joint at the base of the big toe. So in fact, those things at the edge of the little toe aren't bunions. It occurs when some of the bones in the front part of the foot move out of place. Foot binding, that was part of it. 31 of the skeletons showed signs of bunions, and it was more likely among those who were wealthy, those buried in urban areas, and those who were clergy. So it was the sort of religious who liked to kind of walk in agony. The pain, Julie, the pain. I've always thought that women's shoes are something quite brutal. I see Nadia come down the stairs. I mean, she looks beautiful and everything, hobbling away in those shoes. And I think, what kind of torturous idea is this? Surely, you know, if we want to get feminist about it, high heels are a manifestation of male oppression, aren't they? Just chucking it out there. Don't know where that came from. 43% of the skeletons found at an Augustinian friary contained skeletons of the clergy and wealthy. The study is published in the International Journal of Paleopathology. Well, there you go, guys. I mean, I'm sure you wanted to know that. I mean, it's an important story. I think the history of our pointy shoes, the history of walking in agony. If you want a really excruciating moment in a film, go and check Saint Maud, where as a sort of religious penance, she places nails in the heel of her shoe and then places her foot in it. Oh. I don't get it. I don't get it. Bunions. I just wear flip-flops at the moment. I'll wear my Crocs. Has anyone got really flat feet? Miss Von Trisha, have you ever considered having your toenail removed? My toenail not only gets removed, but when I used to play football, it would fly off. Well, it wouldn't fly off because I was wearing boots, but sometimes we'd play bench football at school, barefoot. And I remember hitting the bench once and there was a scuttling sound and everyone looked to the right as this thing just went, it was my toenail. Does anyone remember the vlog where I cut my toenails and put them in a can and Nadia drank them? I guess strictly speaking, that's like her putting my toe in her mouth. And on that really hideous, hideous thought, I'd like to encourage you all to hit the thumbs up, subscribe. High arches for you. Flat feet are a problem. I've just told 495 people I've sucked a toe, Stuart G. You absolutely have, and I've just knocked it to the back of the net because I've just reconfirmed that. So everyone, Stuart G sucked a toe when he was drunk. Was the toe attached to someone? Oh, podcast. Thank you very much. Confessions of a Modern Parent has landed today after a 2-week absence due to my mental breakdown. It's about privacy and the importance of privacy. When is it right to invade your kids' privacy? Is it ever right to invade your kids' privacy? How can you express concern? How much should we monitor them? All that kind of stuff, whether it be the privacy of a room, the privacy of a phone, the privacy of their internet history. Head over to iTunes podcast. If you go over there, do subscribe to the podcast and you'll be notified of others landing each week. There are hundreds, literally, of other episodes. Hit 5 stars there if you can, that would be lovely. And yeah, Maddie and Carlitos, Lisa's son, also contribute. And it was a really good and a surprisingly lengthy and detailed chat. It was quite a rewarding one, actually, so and quite meaningful. So head over there. As I say, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. The Sunday show is coming this weekend. We're aware that a members live has been difficult to fit in this week due to a variety of mitigating circumstances, but I'm pretty certain one will be landing at some point on Saturday rather than today because we have a social situation happening later today. So, guys, thank you for being gentle. Thank you for being lovely. And A Green Fingered Hell is literally in the canon, half edited and looking good to go pretty soon. Happy feet, dance your way to the weekend. If you've got bunions, nurse them. If you fancy sucking a toe, go and suck one. But remember what Rhys Roberts says, just because something's there doesn't mean you need to go there. And on that thought, let's head off. Group hug or Xander hug. Oh, there we go. Lots of love, guys. Have a lovely day. And as ever, there'll be something landing somewhere. And we're aware that Mayor of Easttown, the review of the final episode, hasn't landed. And as soon as we can,